CM Punk names his bar fight team. So I'm going to tell you who his bar fight team is, and then I'm going to ask you guys to name your bar fight team. Caveat is you can't name anybody that CM Punk named. Okay? First person on Punk's list is Bron Breakker. He said, I'm taking Shayna Baszler. She's with me. She's my homie. Feel like Braun Strowman is a good pick for this type of situation. Nicest guy in the world, but if we've got to get out of here, he's making a hole. I don't know about the statute of limitations, but there's been some situations in the early 2000s where maybe someone who looked a lot like me and somebody who looked a lot like Samoa Joe was in similar situations. So Punk picked Joe, Bron Breakker, and Shayna Baszler. Rhodesia, I would throw it to you first. Who is your 3-person bar fight team?
This one is a no-brainer. My first one is Sheamus. Give me Sheamus all day, every day. He is going to handle it. And I'm assuming this is active wrestlers, right?
Yeah, let's go active.
Give me Asuka, because I feel like she would be one of the reasons why we get into the fight, because she's so spicy and hyper. So like the excitement of getting into the fight, give me Asuka. Okay. I need one more heavy.
Yes, you need one more.
Who I know is gonna fight no matter what. What a spot. Okay. Who doesn't take shit? Give me Randy Orton.
Damn it, that was one of the ones I was gonna pick. I'll try to think of somebody else, but yeah, I was absolutely taking Orton. All right, I like that one. Who you got, E?
Since I don't play by the rules ever, I'm going Haku, I'm going Godfather, and I'm going Xavier Woods. Why Xavier Woods? Because I feel like, and then he give me a chance to get out the way.
So you don't have any women. So if there's any women who's coming at you, you gonna have one of the guys hit her?
Man, look, they ain't getting past Haku and Godfather. They ain't getting past Haku and Godfather.
All right, well, you cheated because it's not active. Actively, give me, of course, I'll go Orton because you took that one from me, Rhodesia. Women-wise, give me who?
I just changed it. Give me Medusa.
Okay, so you got Medusa. Got it. All right.
In place of who though?
Xavier.
Okay.
No Peacekeeper.
That's a good call. It's a good call. So I'm going Orton. I'm going to go just a new person, Julia from NXT. I think she's a bad mofo. And I don't know how you guys skipped this one. I mean, it's in lines with Haku. But give me Jacob Fatu. He told y'all on TV, I can really fight. And I believe that man. Yeah. So give me those 3.
Well, you know, I under pressure.
He did hard time.
Hard time.
When you said that question to us, and I had to think, you know how you go into your mental notebook and everything was just like this. Blank pages.
It was blank.
It was all blank. I'm just like, shoot. Wait, what are we talking about? Wrestling? Wait, who's a wrestler? Who's a wrestler? Wait. Where am I?
Let's get to the show. All right, that's enough. Welcome to TFW Podcast. That's Freakin' Wrestling, the best kept secret in wrestling podcast. Today, we are 3 the hard way. I am your host, Matt, joined by my 2 co-hosts here, Rhodesia and Eshaun. Shout out to the freaks, man. This is episode 169 of the podcast. I didn't even talk about leaving thumbs up and comments on the last pod, but y'all know what to do. All right, interact with us. We appreciate it. We love you guys. A lot of positive feedback from our last episode. So the freaks were definitely fans of Billy Mays. So shout out to Billy. Shout out to everybody who listened to the last pod, watched it, listened to it on their favorite podcast platforms, enjoyed it. We appreciate you guys. Appreciate Billy. Like I said, Billy, we will see Billy, I'm sure, sooner rather than later back on the TFW podcast. So let's get right into it, guys. This is the first week of the 2-hour Raw format. And I didn't know what to expect. If I was a betting man and we had to have a conversation about what I thought would have been on Raw, I would have said it would have been a 2-hour Raw that was like the 3 hours, but they cut out anything we didn't want to see. And it started really, really strong. Sexy Red starts to show off. And Sexy says, get it, Sexy. And she starts moving. They cut right to a video package. I don't even know if they planned on having that video package there, but they cut right to that damn video package. So I didn't think we didn't see Sexy kind of give it up before on WWE TV. But we go from Sexy Red to CM Punk to Seth Rollins to Jey Uso. And I'm like, okay, this is what, all right. They basically just ran through 45 minutes of typical WWE Raw programming in like 15 minutes. And then for me, the show went downhill after that, outside of the main event, to be completely honest. Now, granted, full transparency, I watched Raw at halftime of the Monday Night Football game and then at the end of Monday Night Football. So I'm watching it with a little bit more of a tired eye than I typically would watch professional wrestling. But I really wasn't here for Jey Uso and Xavier Woods. We know anything with Woods, the story is Kofi Kingston in the New Day. So the match was what it was. I'm sure Sheamus and Pete Dunne killed it. I actually fast forwarded through the match. I don't care, right? So now at this point it's like 12:30. I'm just trying to fast forward through the show. That was a match I fast forwarded through. I heard it was good. Then they doubled up with that with the 10 women tag match, which I kind of thought was not the best in regards to how they were presented. It felt like, to me, this is, hey, get the women on the show. And I think they have too much talent to be doing that. Yep. So we get past that. And then we get Gunther and Sami. They did a great job. Of course, Sami may go down as, honestly, a top 5 underdog babyface in the history of wrestling when it's all said and done. He can get you to believe that he has a shot when he has no chance. I know there was some talk online on Monday about, man, what if Sami wins and it's Sami versus Cody at Crown Jewel? I didn't think that was happening, but Sami made you believe. And even during the match, some of those close pinfalls, it was right there, and the crowd was really there for it. So I thought the show started hot, thought it ended hot, maybe kind of a lot like Bad Blood. So for me, the first 2-hour Raw, thumbs in the middle, still a good show, but I would have thought I would have left Monday Night Raw the same way I'm typically leaving SmackDown every week, and that wasn't the case. Rhodesia, I don't think you watched Raw.
Yeah, I didn't watch Raw.
So,
I saw Sexy Red, and I saw the energy that WWE was on when she, like you said, she started on, and I just knew she's about to drop into splits and start gyrating on the ground. But when they went to that video package, and it was like, no, I already knew the energy. Package. I knew the energy they were on, so I was like, all right, cool. If you ain't about to show Sexy Red twerking, then I might as well just finish doing my work over here. So
I didn't know you were such a big fan of Sexy Red twerking.
I wasn't until but I'm not gonna lie though, I actually think it's ghetto as hell. But when I see her on NXT on WWE, I actually like her a lot. She has kind of like what Cardi B when she kind of first came out. At least to me, it was like that. She was personable, relatable. Like she didn't take herself too serious. I think that's probably the biggest thing of them all. And just if we talk about it in NXT, just some of the words that she uses, it's down to earth. And to me, I kind of relate to that. So I actually really like Sexy Red. Now her music,
authentic, right?
It's authentic.
Yeah.
Her music, I don't know, but her energy for sure, 100%.
So you can't really talk about Monday Night Raw. So E, what'd you think about Raw?
As for Sexy Red, I gotta say, I don't think she's. I'm in her demo, to be honest with you. I don't like her music. I like her energy though. I like she reminds me of
definitely are not in that demo. No.
Yeah, I'm not.
Music, yeah. I'm like, Matt, what is this?
Yeah, I'm actually. But I like her energy though, because she's relatable. We know people like her, right, and we know and love and like people like her. So I love that. Right. But the show, I'll tell you this though, Matt, like we always say before, don't watch wrestling or this show that you enjoy when you're tired. That's the hardest thing to watch anything that you enjoy when you're tired, because now you don't have the attention for certain things or the patience for other things as well. You kind of try and struggle through it a little bit. Because I thought the show was really nice for the first hour, really. I liked that it was moving quick. You know, we had Punk coming out there, you know, on the microphone doing this thing, talking, and then immediately we got like they don't even like stop and pause music. They like transition to like everything's going like snap, like quick. Out comes Seth, right? And that was done on purpose, right? Because that was done because we want to see them. We want to see the stare down. We want to see them look at each other, right? So we get that moment. So we know that those two guys are still having an issue with each other, right? And then here's Seth in the ring. You know, he's talking his mess, and he acknowledged CM Punk, reaffirming that hey, there's still an issue, and maybe at WrestleMania we're going to see that issue taking place in the ring. So that would be very, very cool. And then before Seth's out of the ring, boom, we get Jey coming out there. We get him rocking the crowd. Now, I'm a big Jey Uso fan. He's probably, I would say, probably like my number 3 right now as far as like my wrestlers I'm really into right now, Jey Uso. Every time he comes on my screen, it's a joy for me. And I like, boom. So now he's interacting with Seth. They got the interaction. So it's just like hot act after hot act after a hot act. And so you mentioned that you're not into Jey and Xavier. That's a shame because I actually really enjoy the storyline with Xavier and Kofi right now. I love that. And they actually had like a nice little segment that was on the internet only. Now, probably that segment probably would have happened on the show, right? Because they need to fill some time. But that gave a little more backstory to what was happening. But Bron comes out there. We think Bron he's a changed man, and he's a little bit more humble, a little bit more respectful. Nah,
he was last week, not this week.
Hey, yo, real quick. Why didn't we pick Bron Breakker as our bar team?
Because I'm not taking Bron because I said Punk named Bron, so we couldn't name him. But even if
Braun Strowman, I thought you said Braun Strowman.
No, Breakker was the first one he said.
Yeah.
Oh,
then he had Strowman.
Yeah. All right.
And then he had Shayna. Yep.
All right. Sorry for cutting you off.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And he had Samoa Joe too.
But I like the Bron comes out there and he spears Jey Uso out of his shoes, like right. Then Kofi wanted to come in there. He like, yo, that's my boy. Then he give Kofi some. Right now, Xavier, like, man, I don't want none of this smoke. This ain't my problem. He about to leave. Honestly, he turned around, Breakker, boom, he done speared his ass too. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, now, it's an interesting dynamic because Xavier wasn't about to help. He just happened to get it. And that's what you get for being a bad person sometimes, right? You get what get coming to you. He got that spear anyway. So backstage, now this happens on online though, right? Internet exclusive. But Xavier like, man, I'm not helping that dude. Kofi like, that's your boy, that's your man. He would have helped you. I don't care. He won the match. Like, why is it on me to help everybody? Who gonna help Kofi? Like, right? So you see that further deteriorating. The only thing I didn't like, and I wasn't a fan of, I probably fast forward through was the women. I think all those women are unover. I don't know what the word for, but they ain't over.
Unover.
They're under.
They unover, man. They unover, man. Because like at least they unover my household, man. Like them girls, like in it's Lyra Valkyrie, right? She kind of came up on like a really like an upswing, and I feel like she's kind of, I don't know if it's because she's been associated with these women. Because like Natty, man, God bless her, man, but Natty been Natty for the past 20 years in that company. Like, right? I don't think she can get no more over under. In that company no more, right?
She's like what Dolph was before Dolph left, where he was just like, no matter what you do at this point now, we know you can go in the ring, but it's like, it is what it is. So if Natty is your top, and this is nothing against Natty. Natty's a friend of the show. We love Natty. But we're talking about from a character perspective, if she's the main focal point of said story or team, it's probably not the best.
We're in trouble.
To your point about Lyra.
It's the way she's been presented, right?
She's been cooled off. She's been cooled off significantly. And I know we were all high on... Let me take it back. Those girls. I said I'm not saying her name on the podcast. The Scissor Gang.
Say it.
It's not working.
Say it.
Yeah, like I'm just...
I have no idea who you're talking about. Who you talking about?
Yeah.
PFC.
Yeah, it's not working for me right now. It's not.
Oh, okay.
So when you combine all of that, and then you do a 10 women tag match, it had, like I said, it had all the feelings of just, all right, we got to get the women on. And maybe they're figuring out the 2 hour, because what kind of came across to me when I was watching the show was like, oh, unless I'm tripping, maybe it's not that easy just to start booking a 2 hour Raw show.
That's
like
a good point.
SmackDown.
That's
I
a
don't
good
know
point.
who the writing team is. I don't know. Maybe they're just dead set in 3 hours and maybe going 2 hours is new to them. I don't know if it's the same writing team for Raw and SmackDown or what, but it definitely had a different feel than SmackDown for sure. And it wasn't the best feeling. Like I said, the show wasn't horrible, but coming away, I just thought, all right, after coming off Bad Blood, we are about to get SmackDown on Mondays now. And that just wasn't what we got week 1. I'm sure they'll course correct and they'll figure it out. But
let me ask this question. Do y'all think, because what I'm hearing is that y'all both saying it started off hot and kind of maybe tapered off to cool down, and they probably pick back up in the main event. Is it possible that they made it so strong in the top part or in the front to rival Monday Night Football? Or do they just know they're not going to challenge that beast at all? Let me just book my show the way I want to book it. Do you think any of that had something to do with it? To try to grab that attention from Monday Night Football while you're here?
Yeah, I'm sure. But they know they've been going against ratings are going to rate during football season. It is what it is. So I think they still know, hey, let's put on our best possible show. But I don't think they're putting on the show for ratings per se. Like they just want to keep the viewers that they have right now. It's going to drop off and then it's going to pop back in January and it's going to go through the roof. Mania, so this is through the cycle. But what I did like though, I love the Punk promo. I loved him, and this is selling what happened at the pay-per-view. Now, I wouldn't expect anything less from Drew and Punk, right? Or Triple H. You're not going to allow all this hype about Hell in a Cell just for you then to not sell it that next week on TV. But it's been so many times in the past where somebody will be in a ladder match or a Hell in a Cell match or a steel cage match on a pay-per-view, lose said pay-per-view, and they come out as if it's all Skittles and rainbows. Everything is beautiful. Everything is perfect. I ain't got a care in the world. The entrance looks the exact same, and maybe the promo sounds a little bit different when they get to the ring or wherever they cut the promo from. But you're like, yo, you was just in a brutal match. I love that Punk sold it as such. I loved how he basically said, like, I don't feel the best. I won, but did I really win? And I liked that was, of course, really a setup because he ain't going to Saudi. We've heard his thoughts about Saudi. He ain't going to no damn Saudi. But then for Seth to come out and remind anybody who may have forgot, it's still on.
Ooh.
It's still on. So I really, really enjoyed it. But I also thought it was interesting when Jey came out, Seth wasn't the happiest about that.
Mm.
And I guess they, now thinking about it, I guess they never kind of cleared any issues from like bloodline business to Seth, even though Seth really wasn't involved like that. And Jey really wasn't involved like that with the bloodline and stuff. But I did think it was interesting, unless it was something else that maybe I missed of why Seth wouldn't be the happiest that Jey Uso showed up. But what did you guys think about the interaction with Punk and Seth and then Seth and Jey?
I just saw the clip where Punk got bumped when Seth came out. And then I don't know about the Jey and Seth.
Yeah, where did you probably miss that part? Yeah, I like that part too. Like, I forgot about that when I was actually talking about the positives of the show. Yeah, I mean that sets up another potential match and storyline later on down the line. I don't think it's something we're going to see, anytime soon. But it's something they can keep on, hitting towards an issue with them. Like I said, I thought the show was a lot better than you did, Matt. Only thing I probably didn't like was just the women's tag match. R-Truth and Miz have an issue, and they're kind of like microwaving that. Like Truth came back, Rhodesia, like, yo, what's up, man? Why you do blah, 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 blah. You must have been tired. I forget what he said, but he was kind of almost trying to do the same thing he did with the Judgment Day. But he's trying to give him talking to Miz. He rolled up with a Miz. He rolled up on Miz.
Karrion was right behind Miz, just smirking.
And that's the thing. And Karrion's there, right? So, he's in Miz's ear, right? He's that guy. He's like in his ear. You know what I'm saying? And he's trying to give the Miz kind of an out. Like, hey, I know you probably was tired. So I forget what he specifically said. Miz like, no, I did that shit on purpose. Matter of fact. He's like, matter of fact, I want to
you do
match.
that to me on purpose,
No,
dog?
he's like, yeah, he's like, hey, I know how we go. Hey, he go, oh, like I know how to fix this. I'm gonna talk to Adam Pearce. I'm gonna get you a match. She was like, bro, that's the problem. I don't want no matches from you.
Yeah, he did say that. He was like, no, we got a match next week, me and you.
You know, me and you next week,
Oh,
and then
wow,
Carrion,
okay.
And then Carrion
walks
looked
off
like a
smirking.
proud daddy, didn't he?
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
Carrion can be on my bar team too.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I got
But no,
Carrion on
but
my
we're
bar
done
team.
with that. You can't keep
Oh.
bringing up like you only had 3.
Remember, this is how it was. When
I
you
know
first
it
asked
take
the
you a little bit of
question.
time to get going.
The only
She
thing
said
on this sheet of paper is 169, so I knew that it was episode 169.
E, we gonna get to the point of talking about like our top feuds of the year. She's still gonna be talking about some damn who gonna be on her.
Hey, hey, let her cook, man. Let her cook.
So what do you guys think is next for? Well, Seth already said Bronson Reed, I'm coming for your ass. So we know that's the case. How soon do you think? And this may be foreshadowing a little bit of our next segment, which is top feuds of the year, and then what you are most excited for of a feud this year. But when do you think we see Seth and Punk start feuding? Is it immediately after Saudi? Do we somehow maybe get that at Survivor Series? Or do you think this is 100% a potential night 1 co-main event or night 2 co-main event at WrestleMania?
I think you're jumping the gun, at least for one of my answers. I think that is going to start this year. And I think it's going to start right after Saudi. I really do. Now, when we were talking about this, you were saying that the match doesn't necessarily have to happen in the year 2024, but just as far as the building
feud has
of
to start.
The feud.
Yes.
But yeah, I think it's this year. Yep.
I think it's going to be at WrestleMania. I think we're going to see that match as one of the. Cause we're supposed to get it at 40.
Right.
41. I'm losing them all. I think we're going to get it this year. I think we're going to get them to run it back. They're on the same brand. It's going to be too many opportunities for them to cross paths, and I think the crossing of the paths is what's going to unite the feud into WrestleMania, right? I think it's going to be shoulder bumps. It's going to be walking by each other in the arena. It's going to be a bunch of little things that's going to build up to an actual feud, right? Because they have some unresolved issues that is eventually going to explode, and I think it's going to culminate at WrestleMania.
But when do you
I don't
think
know
the
if they can
feud
hold
will
on
start?
that long. So would you say, Rhodesia?
I was going to say, when do you think the feud will start, though? Like
He said he thinks it'll start right after Saudi. And I think if it starts right after Saudi, there's no way in hell they can go 4 months without having the match. And I'm only saying that because Seth, once again, I'm paying attention to details. Seth said, when you come back, I'll be here to kick your ass.
Oh, that's true.
So unless Punk is going to be gone until the Rumble, which I can't see that. Yes, he should be gone for a month. And I like how they're kind of making Punk a little bit of that special attraction. He don't need to be on TV every week. Damn sure don't need to be wrestling every week, right? So I do like that. But think about how many major shows we have on docket. So we got War Games. You can easily get away with not doing it at War Games because I think we get KO and Cody, and we can talk about it next pod. But I do think we may actually get Bloodline versus Bloodline. They wrapped a lot of. It's like they hit the fast forward button a little bit at Bad Blood. Like we got Jay or we got Jimmy super quick, and then you got The Rock. I still don't think Rock's going to wrestle at Survivor Series, but it's like they went from 0 to 100 really, really quick. So we may actually get that. You don't need Punk and Seth at Survivor Series, but you got Saturday night's main event coming up. We know they're going to make that a big deal. And maybe the date I would circle on the calendar is January 6th of First Night on Netflix. You know they're going to make that a big deal. They just confirmed this at the new Clippers arena out there in Los Angeles, which is going to be a hell of a look for WWE and for LA. And you know they're going to make that like a major PLE. Hell, I don't think there's a PLE in January.
You know what they should?
Because the Rumble is in February. That could be the date for the first match. And maybe, hell, we saw they went 9 months with Punk and Drew. So that's not to say that they can't do a second or third match at Mania. But in terms of first match, I don't know how you hold off until April.
Well, like the perfect thing. Go ahead.
I have a name for it.
Oh, shit. What's the name?
Man, I be popping myself. I know people be hating me. Armageddon. We can call it Armageddon. Place it in December. It'd be our pay-per-view for December.
That's Saturday night's main event.
Then we call that Armageddon.
Yep. Armageddon main event. All right, whatever.
But I was going to say, the feud has started now. I think it's gonna be. You're gonna see you're gonna see different backstage interactions. You're gonna see more interviews like you saw on Raw. I think it's going to keep building and building into a eventual showdown, right? Because now what they're going to do is they're going to keep giving you diversions, right, to stop the match from happening too quickly, right? So that might be, Jey and Seth, or that could be, Punk and someone else, right? Because you can remember, there's a big issue that Seth has to overcome is Bronson Reed, right? Now he came in, gave him the foot on the steps, right? But Bronson gonna come back and it ain't over with them. That's gonna be over at some type of a PLE or a major Raw show. So he has to do that. So I think you're gonna see a bunch of diversions. It's gonna kind of, intersect the two of them from colliding. And I'll be okay with that.
So we got that. I don't really care about, from a storyline perspective, I don't really care about what's next for Sheamus. What's next for Gunther? I think, so this is the other part that when I saw Sami lose, which I knew he was going to lose, but I think there was like a, once again, one of those .com videos exclusive. And, Sami's looking, disheveled and heartbroken. And the caption may have even been, what's next for Sami Zayn? And, of course, my mind immediately went to Jey Uso Bloodline. So that's why. That was another reason why I'm like,
there's going to be
all right,
war games. That could be a war game situation.
Okay, well, all right. As much as I thought they were slow walking the dog, they turned it up pretty quick. So what is next for Gunther? What do you guys, outside of this Cody thing, we know this is just a champion versus champion. I don't even know if I would say that's next. I think that's just a match we're going to have for Saudi. But Cody's going to be on 2 Raw shows in October. Remember, we talked about that and we were like, all right, what is that for? Is that for, now we know it's for Saudi. Do you think they're really going to put a lot of meat and potatoes behind Cody and Gunther, where they're going to try to make it seem like there's an actual feud? Or is this going to be just a kind of one-off match? Match is going to be good, and then they move Cody right on to KO?
I think both. I think it's going to absolutely be everything. They're trying to sell it. So they're trying to sell this whole crown jewel champion thing. So I think they're going to put all their effort into it, and I'll be there for it because I'm excited to see this. But your original question was, what's next for Gunther? I don't even think, this might be very silly of me saying, I don't think they really know. I think it's not needed right now. That's probably why I'm feeling like we don't need to know. Him holding that title is, correct me if I'm wrong, how many times was that the title actually defended this past year? Probably not that many times.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I feel like it's not necessarily needed to know what's next for Gunther, because right now we do have Cody. So let's put all this effort into Cody, and then now we can start building for what Gunther is going to go against at Mania time. I don't necessarily think that you have to really defend that title with somebody who I think that could possibly really rival him. I don't think we need one of those feuds quite yet. So whoever you put in front of him after Cody, it probably isn't going to be the person that's going to take it off of him. So that's what I mean by it's kind of like it's not needed.
That's interesting. I think Priest defended the title a few times before he dropped it to Gunther, and Gunther's had a couple of title defenses. I don't know who's next for him because I think that you got Jey as the IC champion right now. He's already gone through Sami. Seth,
is he going to beat Bron though? They got to have a rematch.
Yeah, man, we'll get to it. He looks
right.
Well,
I know on both ends, on both sides.
Yeah.
Jay's the man right now, man. I don't see them derailing his momentum with. I think he's bigger than Breakker right now. Not saying that Breakker can't and won't be there, but Jay's the man right now. I don't think you stunt his momentum by losing to Bron, like what his first title defense that would be. I just don't think that's necessary. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just thinking, didn't y'all say before that the IC is usually the stepping stone anyways?
It is the stepping stone. And I mean, with E saying just how big of the Jey is the man right now, which he is, if there's a way to get somehow the bloodline to get involved with Jey, it has to make sense though. Like, it's got to be a situation where the bloodline somehow, some way has beef with Sami or something like that, and Jey comes to his rescue. And all right, now you're sticking nose back in bloodline business. They could cost him the rematch against Bron Breakker, and it doesn't hurt Jey because of what that final end product is going to be with Bloodline OG 1.0, with Sami, with Roman, with his brother, and then maybe him and Jimmy get back together. That's, but when I saw Bron do what he did on Monday, I was like, all right, so then we get in a rematch. And damn, do you have Bron lose again? Like, I don't see that. But Jey is on fire right now. So but he's not on fire because of the IC belt either. No, he just has the IC belt. He's on fire with or without the belt.
Could we have what you just said, some kind of interference? Okay, so he drops the IC title, but it doesn't take away from who he is and his stardom, and then put him against Gunther for that championship. They can write that to where it's believable. So maybe Jey could be next for Gunther after Cody and Crown Jewel.
I think that's kind of fast forwarding storylines a little too quickly, right? Like, you look, and we haven't seen the aftermath of Bad Blood on SmackDown yet. Mm-hmm. But they already got their hands full with returning Jimmy, with Roman. Like, right? So we have that. So they're going to... So, like, the Bloodline right now have to get their house in order, right? Like, we don't know...
2.0, you talking about, right?
Or both of them.
Right now, the existing Bloodline is Solo, right? So so when I say the Bloodline, I'm talking about what's on the graphics right now.
Got it.
It's the existing one. They got to get their house in order because they had a bad showing at Bad Blood. Right now, Rock coming back. What does that mean? Like, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. That probably won't all be answered on the next SmackDown or even the next SmackDown after that. But I just don't see them, having those issues and then creating another issue on an entirely other brand, like randomly, like just soon. Now, eventually, I can see them kind of setting something up, right? And that's when you got to be. That's why, like, when you're telling a story, you got to kind of slow things down and tell the story properly. Because I think that this is one of the things we accuse AEW of. Like, they hot shot and they speed through too many of the ebbs and flows, right, to get to a point. Like, everybody wants to get to the climax, but you got to think of storylines as good making love. Like, you got to take it slow. You got to get in there nice and slow. You got to get a little bit of foreplay. We can't just get to the climax. We got to slowly pull them down a little bit. Then we got to do a couple fills. We got to.
Why are you talking like that? What's wrong with this guy, man?
You know what I'm talking about?
What's wrong with this guy?
You got to get it wet a little bit. You
can't
just shove it in there, right? That's what we're talking about right now. We just shoving it in there, man, and making it do what it do. No, take your time. Tell your story. Get your characters right. Get them in the right position so when it does happen, boom, it's elation. Like, right? That's what we need. So Jey right now, he needs to keep on building momentum. Like, I think the great thing for them to do with Jey, and I was hoping they would do for him, is that they will make him such a star on his own that he doesn't need Roman Reigns to stand apart. Like, right? No, Roman Reigns needs Jey Uso to overcome the new bloodline. Like, right? And what better way to do that is to make him a defending, winning, important champion on the red brand. So does what's like, you guys keep on cutting me off and I'm going to forget everything in the world. Like, so Bron Breakker is so young.
I got some notes.
You said take notes.
I got a notepad.
Bron Breakker is so young that he can take a loss because, again, he's a heel. He can always continue getting his feud, like, man, getting his heat back. Like, his spears are so amazing. His athleticism is so amazing. He's believable in his role. He could take another loss. He'll be just fine. But Jey
Bron's going to get the belt back. It's just a matter of if he gets it back on, like, the first title defense with Jey against him or, like, a second. Because if you look at War Games, as of right now, there is no point of having War Games if it's not Bloodline versus Bloodline. There is no other feud that's hot enough to do it. Because then you run into what we used to have for years and years and years and years with Hell in a Cell.
It's
October.
Top five,
it's October. Let's find whatever feud we got going on. Throw them in Hell in a Cell. That's what War Games would be. I damn sure don't want to see Judgment Day involved in a War Games match right now unless they completely add some new people to it. There is no other feud that makes sense for it. So you can't do Bloodline versus Bloodline without Jey Uso. I was going to hold off on this question or this topic, but it's perfect opportunity because it's involving Roman Reigns and The Rock and Cody Rhodes. One of the better Twitter sources out there, WrestleVotes, I guess they have their own like radio show weekly or whatnot. But I guess they said last week or a couple days ago, WWE reportedly has plans for Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns versus The Rock on the table for WrestleMania 41. WrestleVotes says, my thought is it signifies that's where we're going for WrestleMania. 1, 2, 3, as in triple threat match. So he's talking about when The Rock was doing sign language at Bad Blood.
Wow.
He said, I can tell you that's on the table. I don't know for sure if it's been finalized in any way. It's October 8th. I doubt it's been finalized, but that idea has been floated. So summarize, we don't know. But that's one of the ideas possibly of night 2 main event is Rock, Roman, Cody Rhodes. We've heard Rock say we're on the 1 yard line of the biggest WrestleMania main event in history. We heard Cody on Pat McAfee's show last week talk about this WrestleMania main event could be huge or whatever he said. As of right now today, because today is October 9th, is Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns versus The Rock. Is that something you want to see today for WrestleMania?
Yeah. Yes. Because if we're talking about 2 nights of WrestleMania, I've already said that I think there's going to be some helly pushback if we have Bloodline on both nights in the Bloodline story. If we can get all 3 of them together, right now we know that, well, we don't know about what Roman and Rock is right now, but we can imagine where that will be building to. This still will allow us then to also have separate campaigns after this. We can still have Roman and Cody. We can still have Cody Rock. We can still have all of that even after this. And that way we don't have just we could do SummerSlam. It's 2 nights now. So something happens SummerSlam and then the next Mania. And we could finish a true Roman Cody 3 at WrestleMania 42. I mean, like, I actually like that. And again, feeding and looking into stuff that probably isn't really there, but the 1, 2, 3 sign language, hell yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So whoever thought of that, I think that actually pretty is clever. I can so see that and I can see myself being behind that. Absolutely.
I wouldn't mind it. Roman, Rock, Cody, some of my favorite wrestlers of all time in one match. I mean, definitely it'd be a good show. But I would like to see some singles matches before that.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly. Yeah. Like, I would rather have a singles match either way more than a triple threat match right now today before
so
they get into the storyline. No, Rhodesia, chill out.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No.
Okay. I'll be quiet for the next. I'll go. Remember when I said to go on mute?
Yeah, you had to mute up for a little bit. So then, all right. So let's real quick. Let's rank them and then we can get to top feuds of the year so far. So you got triple threat match, or you have Roman, Cody. I'm sorry. Rock, Cody, or Rock, Roman. Rank them 1, 2, 3.
Triple way, 1. Cody Rock.
Yeah, you got to after this for sure.
Oh no, and I have something. I have something for that too. Whatever. Then I'll go Cody Rock 2, Roman Cody 3. That would be my order.
Cody Rock 2. They haven't wrestled yet. Oh, I got you.
Yep,
Okay.
Yep. So
wow. So really?
Yeah. Or triple A.
You have as your least is Rock and Roman.
No, Roman and Cody.
Okay.
Because I feel like that's kind of going to be the end of everything as we know it. It's going to be end of an era. That's why I think that's like the last match.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he is the final boss.
No, I'm talking about Roman and Cody. Just Roman and Cody. I think their 3 is my final. That's the end.
That's the third one. Yeah.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like for me, it's I want to see Rock and Cody because I want to know what the issue was, right? Like Rock, and Cody had the last segment together, like right. And I want to find out what did he give him, like right. I want to figure out what's going on with this weird belt thing that they had going on. It's just a very weird conversation they were having in that ring. I want to know what happened, right? So okay. I need that first. Then of course, we got to get Rock and Roman. Like I got to see that. And then I think that Cody and Roman, that should be the main event of 42 or maybe even 43. To be honest with you, I feel like they should take their time and build to their third match because there's so many storylines and so many big matchups they can have before that that can benefit for being resolved before that happens. So
and it felt like at Bad Blood, which is why I called my truce with Cody Rhodes, it felt like they kind of put that on the back burner, right? 100%. Like when him helping him up and handing him the belt and him coming to help him, it felt like, okay, we can coexist for right now. So it felt like that was kind of put to the side for right now. So then where do you have the triple threat match? Is that what you want to see the most out of those?
I will probably maybe want to see that before. I'm just thinking about if I'm playing Booker on the game, right? I would probably have that before I have Cody and Roman. I like Cody and Roman 3 for me will be. I will book that with all distractions out of the way, and I will build that matchup for like the next year.
Just so same thing, really, like Rhodesia.
Yeah, I will.
After everything's done.
After everything's done, after everything's resolved, because I want that to be my major focus for the next year. Like, right, Cody, Roman, 1-1. Like, who's the better wrestler? Like, right, both wrestlers will still be in their prime. I think Cody would be in his early 40s still. I think Roman would be just behind him. Like they're still be in their prime. I want to see that last.
So then, if you include Cody and Roman 3, that triple threat match is the last thing I want to see out of all. But it's safe if I take that one off the table. And I got the triple threat, and then I got, whoever Rock goes against, either Rock Cody or Rock Roman. As of right now, today, give me Roman and Rock as number 1 that I want to see at 41. Number 2 would be Rock Cody. Number 3 would be that triple threat match.
Wow.
I don't want to see Rock and Roman touching before their one-on-one match. I come from that because if you do a triple threat match, unless there is no longer plans to do Roman versus Rock one-on-one.
Oh, actually, I didn't have that in my mind. Actually, now that you said that, I never had Roman and Rock. Sorry, I never in those 3 options. It was always the triple threat: Cody, Rock, and Roman and Cody.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't be Roman and Cody. Yeah, so for me, that's why I'm like that triple threat is like, but it would help Rock. Of course, he ain't got to do the heavy lifting, just like in the tag match last year. Yep. He ain't got to do the heavy lifting in the triple threat match.
But goddamn, guys, it's so many storylines that they have that are like so impactful and interesting that they can have, and we still ain't talked about bootleg John Cena. Like, right, he's going his retirement tour.
Hey, look, that may be coming up. That may be coming up. Hell of a segue. So I put out there, and thank you for everybody who responded on X. I haven't really read your guys' responses yet because I didn't want that to interfere with my answer. So I'm going to read them live on air. I did read one, and it's hilarious. But so we're going to go over our top 3 feuds of the year so far, and then what our top 3 we are thinking are going to be feuds before the year is over. So let's do it this way. Let's start, of course, with our top feuds of the year. Do you guys want to go, everybody do their third, their second, their first, or do you want to do all 3 at one time?
It doesn't matter. I have some runner-ups too. So of course I can't.
Okay. So then do all of yours, then you have runner-ups.
Okay. So
and then I don't have any runner-ups. I could have, but no.
So I have two runner-ups.
Okay.
One was Gable and Gunther, and Willow and Statlander with an asterisk. I think the payoff wasn't what I wanted it to be, but I was interested in their going back and forth for sure. So that was my close runner-ups.
Okay.
So I'll go 1, 2, 3. I'll go like 3, 2, 1. So 3, I have Punk and Drew McIntyre. I have 2.
Wow.
Yep. I have 2, Swerve and Hangman. And just naturally, Roman Cody. I mean, biggest WrestleMania so far. So that's number 1.
Okay.
Damn, sis. I know we separated 10 years in age, but we twins today.
years.
Wow.
Yo.
Same 3, 2, 1, 2, or you got them
Same
in
runner-up
different
spots?
spots?
Same order. Same
runner-up.
runner-ups. I didn't do runner-ups.
Okay.
But no, we got the exact same 3 in the exact same order. Drew and Punk, I mean, both masters. I know at some points in the feud we were like, okay. But for me, I was there for all of it because I'm fans of all of them. I think Drew is amazing. I think this has been some of Punk's best work. And I think as the feud went on, he got better and better as far as his character work, his mic work, believability, intensity. He just got better and better. And I like that. It was a very started off kind of, and I think that was because of the injuries, right? But it concluded to be one of the more memorable Hell in a Cell matches we had. Then, of course, Swerve. And I give AEW a lot of shit for character and storylines from that show, but they did a good job with continuously going back throughout the years with Paige and Swerve, right? Paige came back an entirely different character. That's how obsessed he was with getting his payback against Swerve, right? Then also the burning down of the house, whose house? Swerve's burnt house, right? It was a whole story. Now, say what you want about the match. I feel like a lot of the little things they did in that match, they should study. I wish they could have studied the Hell in a Cell match, right on that match. They had some things that they could have took out that I think were a little bit much, but overall, really good feud. And of course, man, Cody and Roman against the Bloodline, that had I don't think wrestling fans around the world felt as much as they did for the two characters in that match. I think that match had the most significance. I would think that was the most significant match and rewarding for most people than any match. I'll put that up in the past 10 years. I like freaks. Come at me. Tell me what was better from a rewarding standpoint, from a historic standpoint. What was better than that match? I challenge.
I would say I don't think it's the majority of fans. I think there is a significant percentage though that would agree with that. And if you don't, it's because either you don't WWE is not your main promotion and you don't watch week in and week out, or you're an old school fan like we are and watching it for decades and decades, where you go back to something that happened in the 80s or early 90s,
But I'm talking about this is the past 10 years, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about that when Bill was on the show, right? I feel like because of the times when we are exposed to so much and we get so much content so quickly, it comes at us, right? It's kind of hard to keep one thing in your forefront, right? Whereas back in the day, back in the 80s and the 90s, right, you would get maybe a couple of significant huge moments a year, and then it will stick with you. It'll stay with you. But we get big things all the time, right? People are always trying to top each other. So in the past 10 years, I think that was the biggest match, biggest storyline with the biggest rewarding outcome.
So mine's actually a little bit different than your guys's. Really, really close. I have Swerve and Hangman third.
Okay. What's your runner-ups?
I don't have a runner-up that I'm going to speak of. Number 2 is Drew and Punk. Because I just felt like there wasn't a miss anywhere. Swerve and Hangman really wasn't a miss either, but it was starting to stop. Drew and Punk have feuded this entire year. Since January, this feud has been going on. With Swerve and Hangman, it was off and on a little bit. But Hangman burning Swerve's house down alone makes it a top 3 feud of the year for me. On top of just their great chemistry together. They're also one of the ones, too, that have incredible chemistry together that I think are going to go down, especially in AEW history, for being able to do some of the stuff they did. And my number 1 is involving Cody, but it's not Roman. It's The Rock. For me, with The Rock, with those 20-minute Friday promos, those promos was directed directly to Cody Rhodes. So that was my feud of the year so far, was Rock versus Cody, even though they weren't on a one-on-one match.
That's what I was about to say. I mean, because they didn't have a match to finalize that yet, but I get it. It's a different way of looking at it.
The ass beating in Chicago, backstage, in front of the bus. I mean, yeah.
Mama Rose.
Yeah, of course. It's all the same, right? bloodline and
Come
Cody,
here, boy.
but still.
Hey,
Come here, boy.
hey, E and half Matt, because Matt, you're kind of part of the fan club. Y'all need to tell Cody he need to stay away from his bus, or he need to have like
Man, right?
security at
It's
his
like the
bus.
NXT parking lot. His bus is
Yeah.
like the NXT parking lot.
Yeah.
Look, Cody, hire your boy, Body E.
Oh Lord,
Cody will never
Oh,
touch
see,
you.
actually.
Had
You
you
started
hire
that shit
Body
with Alicia.
E.
All right, we're gonna move on. The rest of the year. Now, I can guarantee I can't guarantee any of these are going to happen in the calendar year 2024. One, I feel very, very strong about. Two, I think I'm okay. I'll be shocked if I get all three, but I do think all three are going to happen this year. I'll just go. I have number one for me is Roman versus Jacob Fatu. All right, I talked in the last part of how high I am on what that feud is going to look like. Number two is Punk versus Seth. As much as I would love it to be at Mania, I just think we have a shot of getting it in 2024 because the feud's already going to start. And then number three, and this, I know I'm in the moment because I had to think and then I changed my mind and I thought again, and I changed my mind. I thought again, I changed my mind. I landed on Tiffany cashing in on Nia Jax and what that feud looks like because I am just so interested to see if she's a babyface at the end of it. So that's my three.
I have a runner-up, or he can go first if he wants to go first.
No, I don't have any runner-ups.
Okay. My runner-up is kind of an asterisk again. I have Roxanne versus either Stephanie or Julia, whichever way we go with this. That'd be
Okay.
a runner-up. This next one is definitely in the moment.
Is that fair, though? Because they're already feuding. Roxanne's already feuding with Julia.
Okay, so I had Stephanie. Let's put Stephanie
Okay.
on there. Stephanie, we just
Got
saw
it.
Stephanie yesterday for the first time. Well, in the ring, I guess, fully. But my next one is happening this weekend, which I am like so excited for, is Bryan and Moxley. I think that they were going to kick their heads in on each other. They're going to kill each other. I think that this is going to be probably one of Bryan's most hardest fought battles of the finale of his career. I think the next few people, whoever he goes after, is not going to be as brutal as this one here. So that's my number three. My number two is Xavier and Kofi. And my number one is Seth and Punk.
So let me just ask you real quick for Bryan and Mox. Mm-hmm. This is the feuds we're looking forward to most. You talked a lot about the potential match on Saturday. Mm-hmm. So they only have one match.
But I
and
think
the match is tremendous. You think that's enough to put that in your top? It'll be 6 feuds of the year.
No, I think that it's not going to be over. I don't think it's going to be over after Wrestle Dream is the point I'm getting.
Okay.
At. I think this is still going to go on.
Got it. Okay.
I only have one thing I'm looking forward to as far as feuds, and that's Bianca and Jade.
This year?
So, right. You think that's happening this year?
I think it's happening this year.
Wow.
I think it's happening this year because you think about their title reign. They're just too dominant. And that division is too weak. There's nobody for them. Like, the most interesting thing they can do for the women's division and those women in general will be to feud with each other.
You don't think that's happening at Mania, huh? You think that's going to happen this year?
Think about it. Yeah, you think about we're in October. We got October to April. You think they're going to team all the way from now to April against who? Like who can possibly can they challenge by April that's going to matter and be worthy of a Mania match?
Of a Mania. It's funny you say that though. My third feud I was most excited for was Bianca versus whoever her next singles matches against. That was what I had. No, that was what I had at 3, and I took it off because I'm like, but I don't see. Maybe they run again until WrestleMania as a tag team. So I get it for sure, but I had that and I took it off. He said that's all he cared about. So. All right, so let's get through some of these. Now I'll be able to read them. So Brandon sent his in from us for feuds of the year. He said Drew and Punk. I'd be surprised if nobody has Drew and Punk. Drew and Punk, Cody and Roman. He said lots of different layers. He said Melo, and Andrade.
That he was on my list.
Okay. He said looking forward to the full-blown OG Bloodline versus 2.0. Gunther and whoever is after Sami. So he kind of has that. So it's really Gunther. And he said Seth and Punk. And he actually put Charlotte and Nia. That's cool. Dwayne says top 3 feuds is Bloodline versus everyone. We may get a lot of that. Swerve and Hangman is number 2. Drew and Punk number 3. Oh shit, he's got honorable mentions. 3A was Liv and Rhea, and Liv and Rhea was a good one. That's a good one. 3B Melo and Andrade. He said off of the wrestling alone. Feuds to come. He has 3A Swerve and Bobby. Yes, that was going to be one that I had. If we did 4, it would be Swerve and Bobby Lashley. 3 Cena and Cody. He put in parentheses heel turn. I don't think Cody's turning heel this year.
But who's turning heel though? We got to be clear.
Cody. Yeah.
Okay.
Number 2 Seth and Punk, and then number 1 is Rock and Roman. That's a good list too. Our guy Eric on Twitter. And if anybody on Twitter, I'm gonna shout out your handle too at Mr. Mom 76. Eric said top feuds number 3, or he has an honorable mention. Hilarious. He said Billy Mays and Bill Goldberg. That is.
He wins. I don't know Eric, but you win.
You know Eric. Eric, you know Eric.
I said I don't know what he wins, but he wins.
Oh, I thought you said I don't know Eric. I was like, wow, that's nuts. Number 3, Cody
Eric's
and the Bloodline. Guy. Number 2, Swerve and Hangman. Number 1, Drew and Punk. We're seeing an absolute pattern here. He said, looking forward to the Bloodline story to continue, when Tiffany cashes in, and how long Roxanne is going to hold the title. Those are all ones we kind of talked about already. Our guy, Kraken for Life. He said Drew Punk, Cody Rock, and Io and Bayley. It's the first time we've seen Io and Bayley. And that was a underrated feud. I know like a lot of people were saying they should have got the main event in night 1. I didn't think it was that good. But yeah, we haven't really talked about that one in a long time. So another Drew and Punk and Cody and Rock. Who's next? Our guy Wole. Number 3, he has
Hey Matt, wait, you didn't tell me what he was looking forward to.
He didn't put it.
Okay.
He ain't followed directions. Cody Rock. Number 2, Punk and Drew. Number 1, Swerve and Hangman. So we got that. Eternal said number 3, Cody and Roman. Number 2, Swerve and Hangman. Number 1, Punk and Drew. A lot of the same, which just shows how much those feuds hit us as wrestling fans. Feuds that he's looking most forward to, not in order. Number 1, Roman versus Rock. Number 2, Bianca versus Jade Cargill. Number 3, Cody versus Randy. That's a good one. We haven't talked about that also today. Our guy, Pool of Cool. Trick Willie and Ethan Page. He has his number 3. Number 2, Cody versus Bloodline. And then Punk and McIntyre. Said was the feud of the year. He's looking forward to Nia versus Tiffany, the Bloodline Civil War, and he put the New Day split up with a crying emoji and not laughing. Our guy Tyler represented. He said his 3 is, oh wow, he went very nice. Lockhart and Carter from ASC, which is basically like an indie promotion.
Oh,
so,
wow.
First indie call out. Number 2 is Ali versus Speedball. That's fire. And then Rhea and Dom, he has as his number 1 feud
I never thought about
of the year. And we didn't even think about because they didn't wrestle in match.
Yep.
Didn't even talk about that one. The 3 he's most looking forward to is Stat versus CEO. I am interested in that for sure. Swerve versus Lashley. There we go with that again. And he said Obafemi versus the world. Especially now seeing that he lost the title, which I cannot believe about. We'll talk about NXT in a second.
He has a real well-rounded list there.
Yeah, of course he does. Backstage Brawl. He only put his top 3. He's got Swerve Hangman as number 3. Punk and Drew is number 2. And number 1, Toni Storm and Mariah May.
I was waiting for somebody to bring that up.
Yep. That's the first one that we heard. I am Megan Ambers. Well, shout out to Megan. I think she just started her YouTube episodes. She has Toni Storm and Mariah May as number 3. Joe Hendry and Ethan Page is number 2. And then Punk and Drew, number 1. So if we were doing percentages, I think Punk and Drew is absolutely number one across the board. Brittany, which is at B. Ray Jones. Brittany, this is the one I read that she's hilarious. She said her top three is, number 3 is Roxanne Perez versus everybody.
Okay.
And Roxanne's been against everybody for sure. Number 2, Melo versus Andrade. And number 1, Punk and Drew. The one she's looking forward to the most, number 1 is OG Bloodline versus the Great Value Bloodline. Number 2, KO versus Cody. And number 3, Ricochet versus Will Ocean Spray. I told Brittany, I said, we got to get you on the show. Our guy, friend of the show, Joel at Gifted Money. He has number 3, Cody versus Roman. 2, Swerve and Hangman. Number 1, Drew and Punk. He said he's still looking forward to Bloodline Civil War, baby, was number 1. Number 2 is Heel KO versus Cody. Number 3 is Swerve versus Big Bobby Lashley. Yep, that's like the front runner or the dark horse, I think, on the list. So that was everybody that I had a chance to see. I think I got everybody. So once again, shout out to everybody who sent in their answers. Kind of the same across the board for the most part of what our favorite feuds of the year. And we still got 3 months to go. Last question on feuds, and then we'll go to NXT, because I know E said he wanted to talk a little bit about NXT. Is there going to be a feud that happens in the next 3 months? So now guaranteed 3 months. We're not talking anything that's going to happen in 2025 that will knock out one of your feuds that you have in your top 3 for feud of the year.
I think, well, no, because I don't think that anybody is going to, the WWE is going to book something bigger than this now. I think it's kind of about to start leading into WrestleMania season. So I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. It's possible, but I don't think they will.
Yeah, I mean, I think the finisher storyline was like one of the bigger stories that kind of grew organically. I mean, that crossed over outside of wrestling, and that was big, right? Then we had that big ending at WrestleMania, but we still got a lot of room left with this whole Bloodline Rock thing, Rock and Cody and Rock, and it's just so much meat on the bone with that whole thing. I think that's gonna keep my attention. I don't see anything kind of overcoming that. So for me, I'm still all eyes on the Bloodline, Roman, Rock, and Cody.
Yeah, because I don't think we're going to get Rock and Cody this year, or Rock and Roman this year, or hell, even, I mean, that wouldn't matter, but even that wouldn't matter. Just those two, I think my top 3 stand pat.
Stay pat.
Unless we get Jacob and Roman somehow in 2024. I don't see that happening either. But yep, I think my top 3 is pretty much set for the year. NXT, guys, let's talk a little bit about NXT. E, I know you said you wanted to talk about it. Just for me, and I watched the entire show, enjoyed the entire show. What I really liked about NXT is I think they found their sweet spot this past week. And what I mean by that is, like, with presentation and the crowd size, they had less than 2,000 people in that arena wherever they were at. They actually had like an arena booked. You got to tell that story, Rhodesia. They actually had an arena booked in St. Louis, and I'm guessing ticket sales weren't moving, so they just moved venues just like 3 or 4 weeks ago. They moved a hell of a lot of tickets in the last week. But we know that what we saw in Chicago is an anomaly for NXT. They won't be able to do that weekly. They may not even be able to do that monthly. They can do 1,000, 1,500 people if they take that show on the road. Sean has already said they really like what they have down in Florida, so that's probably going to be home base for them. But I would love to see them move, once a month, go somewhere in a 1,500, 2,000 seater. But it looked great. It felt great. The crowd was there for it. So that was kind of like my biggest takeaway, was like, that is like the sweet spot for NXT, is just what they gave us on Tuesday night. But E, what did you have about NXT you want to talk about?
We had that conversation about black wrestlers and representation on that show, and I'm still baffled that that's a issue that we have on the show and with the company. When I watched that NXT, man, I think they need to change NXT to BET, man, because that show
what?
The BET.
That's funny.
Because You know, and I don't think it was by design, because if you think about the wrestlers that they're pushing, these are all wrestlers they've been organically pushing for some time, right? You had Trick Willie coming out there hyping up the crowd, right? His music is a banger. He comes out there, he's doing this thing, and then all of a sudden, to a huge surprise, we get Jey Uso. Man, I'm like, oh, here comes Jey. I actually was doing something. I had to put the phone down. I'm watching the screen, and all of a sudden now we got Trick Willie. We got the crowd. Whoop that trick. We got Yeet. Whoop that trick. Man, I'm over here. I'm at the crib. I'm yeeting and whooping all kinds of tricks left and right all day long, man. I mean, I was so into like the first couple minutes, and this was a fun beginning, and then all of a sudden we get the 6-woman match, right? And we get Jay, Bianca coming out there with Jordan, right? Them 3 women looking great, and now we got all of them in the ring, like, right? Just showing excellence. We got the NXT champion, we got the North American champion, we got the WWE Tag Team champions, and then Jey Uso, another minority, not black necessarily, right? But you know, another minority in there, right? Brown people in the ring in positions of power, like looking like stars, like, right, man. The future is in great hands with NXT, and they're right there. I think the show is really great because they have a lot of stars just in that moment. Now, Jay and Bianca's already doing their thing, but Trick is on his way to being huge because he particularly looked like he fit with the rest of them. Like, right, he stood out as somebody that's special, somebody to look out for. I thought they did a phenomenal job with that show. And then you got the women, you know, you got Roxanne and you got Cora coming out there, and you know they're going to be up against, you know, Stephanie and Julia. So man, the future's bright over on that show. I can't wait to continue to see what they're going to do with that show. I like what they did with the arena as well. Yep. I mean, it's just a great show to watch. It's just a great, fun show to watch.
Now, to be fair though, E, the talk has been Triple H and main roster WWE had issues with pushing black male talent. We know Sean and NXT don't have that, but absolutely, your point is duly noted. These are people that they've been putting their time behind. Obafemi, time behind him. Trick Williams, time behind him. When Carmelo was there, time behind him.
Wesley,
yes, time behind him. So for sure, and that's why, like I said, I think a lot of that was just people who don't really care at the end of the day. It's just, oh, it's WWE. You know, like if it would happen to AEW, oh, it's AEW. It's not, okay, you really don't care about the cause. That's not your favorite promotion. So this is the time to dogpile on. So whatever on that. You know, I think we said it perfectly the last couple pods just around the culture and what they're doing there. And you can see it, you can feel it. Rhodesia, you gotta tell the story about the factory.
Oh, but real quick before we go to factory, I just want just to talk to my other, you know, I'm assuming his brothers and sisters that have that concern. I'm just saying I understand what the concern is. What I'm saying is that the future is bright, right? And so like they're all on that show and they coming. Don't worry about it, y'all. Just relax. The new breed of athlete is they're building NXT. Sean's doing it right. They coming for y'all. So y'all worried about PLEs and champions? Don't worry about it. Oba's coming. Trick is coming. Right? Like my Evans. They coming. Don't worry about it.
Hey man,
they got people.
Oba may be coming sooner rather than later. Yeah. I can't believe he lost. That was a shocker. When that match started, my man came out and I was like, he ain't got no shot. No. Me and Rhodesia was talking, so that match we were kind of like not fully 100% invested because I just knew what the finish was going to be. I had to rewind. I was like, yo, he lost? And they did it great. And it's funny too because he is the one guy out of everybody from 2.0 that kind of was left behind. Like if you think about that 2.0 roster, you had Bron, you had Tiffany Stratton, you had Mello, you had Trick Williams. Who else am I forgetting from like 2.0? Roxanne.
No, Oba wasn't originally.
No, not Oba.
The Don.
Yeah, the Don.
Oh, the Don.
He was kind of like the guy that was left behind a little bit. He didn't have a significant title reign. He's always been involved in some pretty solid storylines, but he was like the person where when they gave him that title shot a few months ago, it was kind of like, all right, it's about time. He's not going to win it, but it's about time. And I kind of felt the same way in this match. It was like, all right, this would be good for him and Oba, but it's another rap for Oba. And then when he lost, I was like, yo,
And
I was super surprised. So maybe sooner rather than later we may see Oba on the main roster. Now, if Oba show up on SmackDown and all of a sudden main event SmackDown and get the title, we know they only did it because they was called out on no black talent at the top of the card in WWE. So we got to look out for that too.
The joke about the factory, everybody knows that I kind of half watch wrestling, kind of half do everything else, and they just kept calling it the factory. And I'm like, did I miss the episode where NXT, once they went to the CW, which is actually what the WGN here in Chicago, then we need to talk to somebody about that, because it ain't CW. I'm sitting here looking for CW. I don't see no damn CW. But I'm like, did they just change it also to the factory? And then Matt was like, no, actually, that's the name of the place that they were at. So nothing too funny other than me like, okay.
She was pissed. She was irritated. She's like, when did they call NXT the factory? I was like, that's where they're performing at. It's the actual arena.
I was in my feelings too about that.
You brought up Julia, Stephanie, and Roxanne and Cora Jade. Man, I'm here for it. I am. Cora looked fantastic. I like the whole Mean Girls group with them. Julia and Stephanie. And this is, once again, you talk about having it. Can't teach it. Can't train it. Either you got it or you don't. When them two women came out there, it is just emitting off of them. They have it. So that's going to be fun, and that's not even including Delta coming in. Like I said, I'm not too familiar with her work, but they showed another really fun promo for her coming. Overall, I mean, hell, take color out of it and take race out of it. The future's bright just overall for NXT. So we had that. We talked about the Opa Femi piece. There was something else on the show, and I was like, oh, hell. We get next week, Jada Parker versus, no, not Jada.
Lola, right?
Lola versus, what's her name? Not Nikki. I'm forgetting her name. She just came back. Nikita. I'm hoping. I haven't seen her work yet. I know she worked a couple of live events. I hope she is not, stay on the ground, girl. You do not need to be doing high flying moves, and you too big for that. And not in a negative way, but now you've had 2 knee injuries. Mm-hmm. Keep your feet on the ground.
So I'm
excited to watch. Yes, I'm excited to watch if she's changed her style up at all next week. But they'll be back in Florida next week.
Hopefully everything will be okay after this hurricane that's going through right now.
Yeah, that's the hope. I mean, I guess you could say NXT related, but maybe not really NXT related. Daniel Garcia showed up on AEW last night and said he is staying with AEW. So he's not coming to WWE NXT. What's your guys' quick thoughts on Garcia staying with AEW?
I would have said that was foolish, but hearing his passionate promo that he had on last night's show, I get it. He said that some of y'all might not agree with my decision, but I'm going to say we're the best wrestlers. And hey, if that's what he wants, if he likes it, I love it. So good for him.
I watched that show, man. And I'm trying to course it because I don't want to poke Matt about the rating stuff though. But that was one of the most least watched shows, right? And I don't know if they gave people a reason to watch that show.
Ooh, I feel the contrary.
I don't think they gave people a reason. I mean, they had Mercedes versus your auntie, and nobody wants to see that shit. They don't. That's why nobody watched it. They had a match. They had Commander versus Gravity. Don't want to give 2 shit about Commander or Gravity. They had that match on there. And then, I think before or after that is when Garcia came out there and he had his promo. Okay, that was cool. Then they had a backstage segment with, people coming up to him, congratulating him. I think Anna Jay congratulated him, Brother Zay, and I think what's my man from Punk's former friend, Colt Cabana was back there, and another one, Young Cats. And I'm like, damn, all these people that's in this little segment right now are all people that have been in the same damn spot for the past 5 years. All young talent in the same exact spot that they were 5 years ago. So I'm like, oh, good luck, Daniel, because you've been in the same spot for the past 5 years too. Now, he did say, I'm coming for gold. And then he says something, and it wasn't very flattering. Hey, I'm coming for gold. And it's a lot of y'all with it back there. Like, right? Because it's like, 25 fucking championships in that. Like, just pick one, because none of them mean anything. Like, right? None of these none of the belts mean anything outside of the AEW championship that Bryan Daniels hold, because that's the first one. That's the world one. So you can kind of assume that's the one that's on top of all of them. So when I watch it, I'm just like, man, like, there's just so many stagnant things about the show that's just, I don't know. You say it's where the best wrestle, but we don't consistently even see that nowadays, right? Not with Commander versus Gravity, like, right? Not with Mercedes versus Auntie Jade, who get her ass. I mean, they book her specifically on shows just to lose to get somebody so we can have a good match. Like, right, going to the match that she gonna lose. So why am I hype on it?
Matches,
if you follow AEW, you know what the routine is. When she's on the show, she's there to give someone a good 5 minutes and take the pin. Like, where's the thrill in that? Like,
it's a good match.
What's the excitement?
It's a strong match. It's a good showing.
Like,
told you about these good showing months ago.
And they have so many. They have so many wrestlers. Colt Cabana, where the hell he been at? Why is he even in the segment? Like, they have, he wasn't allowed
there once Punk was there. So
exactly,
he's happy to be back.
Punk's been gone for 2 years. I still ain't seen his ass.
You said 2 years.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, when I watched the show, I just
maybe mentally, physically, he was still there last August.
Like, when I watched the show, I'm like, and this is like a go home show before their pay per view, and I'm like, man. Like, I'm going home and turning the TV off if that shit's coming on. Like, they want someone to pay for $50, and that's what they put on as a go home show. Like, y'all think somebody gonna tune in to Collision and they gonna see that go home show? Like, I'm like, damn, y'all haven't tried this week? Like, I think it's just crazy.
and they came on a different night. They typically, of course, come on Wednesdays. They were on Tuesday night. When I looked at the card, I said, this isn't a good card. That's what I said when I saw it. I haven't seen the show yet. I haven't seen anything from the show. I haven't even seen the Garcia promo. The only thing I saw from the show was some people putting up the clips online of Daniel Bryan taunting where Willa Yuta's in the background dying because he got his ass beat. That's the only clip I saw, which was a funny clip. But I haven't seen much from the show at all. And Wrestle Dream is this Saturday, and I don't think I'm going to watch just because, like, I don't think I'm going to have time to watch. But if there's one show to miss, and there's like 2 matches on the card. I'm like, man, that's gonna be a really, really good match. But I see they just added a 2 out of 3 falls match on the show, and I'm like, ooh, okay, I don't need to see that right now. And it's because there's just so much other good wrestling on that an ask of $50 for that said show is a lot. And coming off of Bad Blood last week, where I'm getting my fix, I'm gonna get my fix on SmackDown. NXT the last 2 weeks has been strong, and I'm only saying last 2 weeks because now they're on CW. It's like, okay, well, for me, when I stopped watching AEW intently about 3 or 4 months ago, it was because it would irritate me more so than me enjoying it, because I would see holes in plots and characters not being done right way, or, you know, moves that were being bastardized, and they're not even a kick. There's not even a pin after the match. I mean, after the move that can significantly hurt somebody. It was just a lot of that. And I'm just like, you know what? Let me just watch as a casual viewer. And I've been a casual viewer of AEW now for 4 months. And I'm not probably going to watch Dynamite from this week. I'm not going to have time to watch it, you know, and I'll catch it next week if I catch it. But I'm okay with not watching it like I used to, because it was bringing me more irritation and angst than me enjoying it. And there's still people on that show that I enjoy. I enjoy the majority of talent that is on Wednesday nights. It is just how they are presented for me, where I'm like, we could be doing much better. And when I'm getting presentation that I enjoy, and I'm getting character development that I enjoy, then I don't have to watch. If I don't, I'd rather not watch and not be upset or come on this podcast and bitch and moan and shit on them. Like I started doing at one point for me, just to be like, you know what? When I do watch, I'll enjoy it. Typically, I watch all the pay-per-views. I'm sure I'm going to enjoy the pay-per-views, but if something I don't enjoy, I'm going to just turn the cheek on it and just talk about what I do enjoy from it.
And that's the sad thing too, man. Like, I want them. I'm glad they got their deal. I'm glad they got their money, man. But you know, like sometimes, like I said, when people have that money, what incentives do they have to do something different? Because Tony Khan's already come out multiple times and say, "Hey, I make shows for the sickos," right? But I saw a comment on the X Machine. I don't know who this person is, so I'm not going to quote him, but I'm just going to read it real quick. It says, I don't know. Dynamite is just auralist, right? I didn't know that was even like a word. I know we started using it a couple times. I didn't really specifically hear it anywhere. It just made sense.
It's the same thing you just said when you were talking about being over. You were talking about being under, or what's the opposite of what's the opposite over? It's auralist. That's the opposite over.
Right. So like you said, Dynamite is just auralist right now, right? And that's actually when I watched the show, I'm like, man, it's just no aura on it. Like announce team sucks. The sound quality is trash. The crowd sucks. And the production is just meh. And you know, and I read this after watching the first hour, and that's what I felt like, because Daniel Bryan had a segment. I'm not sure where he was or what happened, but it was a lot of like the video, the audio in that segment was terrible. I don't know what happened. It was really bad.
Don't understand that, man, because from what I hear, every time there's an issue, they always say it's on TNT's end. But TNT does basketball with no issues. They do other live sports. They do hockey with no issues. Little to no issues. I don't understand why they haven't rectified it. So even if it is on TNT's part, fix it. Or TBS.
It shouldn't be
right wherever they are.
And then you think about like just their stage and arena, the way the show looks. Like that was fine 5 years ago. But man, it looks. You know what their set reminds me of their show. It reminds me of looking at WCW, but in HD, or maybe 720. Like right, like it has that exact same feel from a show from 20 years ago. It just looks clunky. There was a segment last week where was it last week, maybe the week after? Christian Cage came out there to tease that he's about to cash in his Money in the briefcase. Oh, I'm sorry, I meant the little thing, whatever little story they took from WWE, right? He's about to cash in, and then here comes Kip Sabian. He takes the pin from him, right? So Christian goes to run backstage, and so he stands in front of the curtain. Now the curtain, like this curtain looks so hokey and looks so cheap, like right. But I get why it's there, but just from watching TV, it doesn't look good, right? He pulls the curtain, and here's Claudio and Pac staring at him. It just, but the segment, the way that looked with the curtain, it just looked very hokey, and the production looked terrible. So when I watched the show, it's just very hard to watch. And I'm actually like, man, I was gonna watch. I watched the first hour because I thought Rhodesia said she had something on the show. Like, well, let me go ahead and watch so I can kind of know what she's talking about. But you know, come to find out, she didn't watch the show either. So I'm like, all right, I'll sit here and waste my time for 40 minutes.
What are you even talking about? I'm about to go in and actually contradict everything that you said about.
But you said you didn't watch the show, though.
I never said that. Oh my God, pay attention.
I said she didn't watch the show. Because she didn't. I don't know how she watched Dynamite, but she didn't watch Raw.
Because I turned on Dynamite and almost watched Battle of the Belts for the 4th time. And
your favorite show.
Wait a minute, Battle of the Belts. Show.
Yeah, like so on our YouTube TV, every time we watch anything wrestling on DVR, it tries to get us to watch Battle of the Belts afterwards.
Well, no,
it came on last night.
Really? Okay. Where did Battle of the Belts come from again? That's what
I don't know, man. I was like, this is your favorite show, and it's not even from the factory. But before you go, but E, to your point about everything you said, that money they got, hopefully they do put it in production. And I do know they asked Tony, or they asked somebody from AEW about running smaller venues, because when you're running these 14, 16, 18,000 seat venues with 3,000 people in it, you can hear it. You can hear it on television. You can hear the echoes, or when nobody's talking or there's nothing happening in the crowd, it sounds really empty. They said they like running the big arenas. So I don't know if it's from a perception perspective. I don't know if it's from they get better rent, but imagine all of AEW shows being in something like the factory. The feeling would be better. But in terms of production and stuff, yeah, look, $100 million more a year, spend it on more things than licensed music, which I love. I love hearing the Final Countdown and things of that nature. But yes, I would love to see them put more into their production with that money.
What I loved about this Dynamite is that it gave me everything that I actually always ever wanted from a go-home show. You talk about the match cards. Yeah, I didn't really care too much for the matches themselves. I actually like the stories and the things that happened in between. Before they even came on, the cold open was Moxley going in. Like, I mean, and then it's followed by Bryan Danielson and then Daniel Garcia. Like, everything about the show, yeah, you can tweak the production, but it felt like, hey, this is an episodic show, finally, that's told so many stories. We even had Christian, we had with Hook. I mean, there's probably 6 or 7 different stories that advance. Jay White returned, about to go after Hangman Page, telling these stories to get us ready. To me, I thought that this was everything that I look for in a go-home show. There's been some times on a WWE PLE where I didn't get that. I'm like, okay, so they put on a solid Raw, they put on a solid SmackDown, and then fine, I know I'm going to watch PLE because it's on Peacock and it's $9.99 a month. But for me, am I going to pay $50? Probably not. So it sounds like I'm talking about out of both sides of my neck. But this actual show, some of the things that I've been arguing about and like, dang, come on, y'all need to do better. They gave me that. They gave me the story. Usually I'm on here talking about how great the matches are. I couldn't care less about the matches that I saw on Dynamite. I actually truly enjoy the advancement of all the storylines. And then, can you believe what I'm about to say here? Jeff Jarrett was on commentary. I actually liked him. And then Tony Schiavone, he plugged me. He called it a triple-way match. So to all of y'all who said that it's not a such thing called a triple-way match, this Saturday or Sunday, whatever day Wrestle Dream comes on, Will Ocean Spray, what Brittany said, Ricochet and Takeshita is having a triple-way match. But overall, that show, yeah, you can poke fun at their curtains and they being hokey. But again, we're comparing it, even if we're trying not to, we're still comparing it to something else that we see better. I had to change the way that I watch, the lens that I watch AEW, because I would probably not go as crazy as Matt, but I probably would be like, yeah, this is kind of like a B-rate show. But with me changing my lenses and looking at that, I look at NXT differently. I don't hold NXT to the same level. Granted, they're developmental. But to me, when I watch that Go Home of Dynamite, I'm like, y'all actually need to go back and watch it. So I don't know if maybe I'm just full of hyperbole, or maybe you were just going into it in a bad humor. But I really do think, Matt, you should watch it and be kind of like the tiebreaker just to see kind of what you feel about that show. But I think it advanced.
Well, here's the one thing though, Rhodesia. It failed to do its job. It was a go home show and it was supposed to get you excited to go home and pay for the pay-per-view, and it didn't do that. So it didn't accomplish what it was supposed to accomplish.
If the pay-per-views were cheaper, I would absolutely.
But they're not.
I would.
But they're not.
But I would.
They've always been 50. 50 has always been the standard price for it.
What? For WWE, I wouldn't pay for a lot of WWE shows if it was $50. I'm gonna be honest. Me personally, hell no.
You wouldn't pay for any of them. Let's be really honest if we're about to do that. But you made a comment about Moxley. I thought about Moxley last week when I watched Dynamite. He had his promo at the beginning. It was like shot outside the arena. And this is nothing against Moxley's wrestling in the ring. I'm like, Moxley may be, if wrestling wasn't included.
Wrestling.
And there's nothing against wrestling. Moxley is one of my favorite wrestlers.
And that show started that way.
He just comes across so believable. Like when he gets his teeth, and you can see now why he hated that Dean Ambrose shit so much toward the end, where he was, doing the mask and all that. Because when you look at that and you see the work he's done in the last 5 years on AEW, you're like, well, I see why they hurt your soul. That was completely not you at all. But yeah, I mean, I had to put him over for that. When I saw that promo, I was like, he just gets it, man. When it comes to selling a show,
he did it again.
And something we haven't talked about, which we need to talk about. They came out and said it ain't Shane. But who knows? It still may be Shane. Moxley keeps saying, like, this is bigger than me. I'm not the one that's pulling these strings. Either we take Shane McMahon or we take the field on who he's talking about. Who you guys think? I'm still going Shane.
Yeah, just because the Young Bucks took a picture with it. They had receipts at the airport. So I'm going to have to go with them. But I would think that Shane would be flying private and not commercial, but hey.
Yeah, I mean, I like Mox too. I think that, like, from the 45 minutes that I saw, that was one of the brighter spots of the show. I'm waiting to see. I'll be honest with you, man.
Wrestle Dream is this Saturday. Like I said, I know I probably won't watch it. If I do watch, it won't be live. I know that for sure, probably. A couple matches where you named the triple threat match. I do want to see that.
Triple
I am intrigued with Brian and Mox just to see where they go from it, from there. But overall, I hope everybody who watches it does enjoy it, for sure. And that's really, at the end of the day, that's what matters. You know what I'm saying? Like if people, that's their thing. Hell, look at some of the top feuds. Some people had in their top feud things that was not Swerve and Hangman from AEW. I love that for us as wrestling fans, because if it was back to only being one promotion, it was either you eat it. It's kind of like we were kids. Either you eat it for dinner or you don't. You're gonna sit there or you can go to bed hungry. And there was plenty of times, plenty of years we went to bed hungry. We ain't hungry no more when it comes to wrestling. And that's great for all of us.
What we doing?
Hey, I will say this as the last thing so we can wrap up for the evening. Don Callis is now managing Lance Archer, and I hope that means I get to see Lance. Like I'll be truthful, I haven't watched AEW in a couple weeks. I honestly haven't missed it, to be honest with you. But it has been so much wrestling on, there's things to do. But I would like to continue to watch AEW, and I am excited that Archer could potentially be back on television, man. I felt like, man, I don't know what's been the problem with him in AEW for the past couple of years. He was booked pretty heavily for the first couple of years, but the last like 2 years or so, I don't know. They haven't been booking him. But I hope this, because like he's older guy, but he's still very valuable. He's still great at what he does. He's still believable as a monster. So I hope that means he's going to be back on the show in a big way.
100%, man. Him and Wardlow. Where's Wardlow? I know he's hurt.
He's still injured.
Oh, he's hurt.
I know he's hurt, but he may be one where he's got to go elsewhere. I think you might want to put him in the Dolph Ziggler in WWE, Natty, unfortunately, in WWE. Like I think that's where he's at.
You think he's ruined?
Yeah, I do.
Damn,
I do. Just because I don't know how you course correct with him. I don't. So they had their chance. So shout out Daniel Garcia. Thank you for making your decision that hopefully is making you happy. Mm-hmm. Everybody can't go to WWE or NXT. And if you are watching Wrestle Dream, Swerve is coming back. And I believe Bobby Lashley will be making his debut on Wrestle Dream. So that should be fun. Like I said, that's one of the feuds I'm most looking forward to for the remainder of the year. Or we'll see. Right? If they team, I'm looking forward to it. If they feud, I'm looking forward to it. But Bobby and AEW, I am certainly intrigued by to see how he's presented.
You know what? We can reunite Leo Rush with Bobby Lashley, and we can have Bobby putting his ass again. Just like
no thanks. Nah, no? Yeah, that's not. Nah,
no,
we passed
that.
No
ass
brother.
Pointing.
We passed that, bro.
No Bobby twerk. Okay.
Nah, nope. Just we had to watch that.
We don't. Do
we
that
had to watch that, and I'm gonna say had to because it was wrestling. We had to watch that. We done, man. We done with that, and we done with this show here. Follow us on Twitter. That's F&W. YouTube. That's Freakin' Wrestling. We are out. Thank you for listening. We love you guys. We will see you next week. Peace.